Brian Schimming is the chairman of the Wisconsin Republican Party. This is a guy that we need to know is on his game. We need to win Wisconsin. I've told you before, 8 states are going to decide the general election, and Wisconsin is at the top of that list. Why? In 2015, Donald Trump won Wisconsin by 11,000 votes. 11,000. And on the books, Joe Biden got it for just under 21,000. Think about how close that is. This is a big, big deal. The get out the vote effort, knocking on doors, getting people to show up, chasing them, making sure they return that absentee ballot. It all comes down to a state like Wisconsin. This is crucial. 10 electoral votes are at stake. Think about it. The 8 states that I told you are important are total 93 electoral votes. Wisconsin is 10 of them. And what they did in the last cycle was unreal. Wisconsin put out these voter drop boxes. They let people cast their votes as if they were considered disabled, completely violating Wisconsin law. So what is Brian Schimming, the state party chairman, doing to make sure that doesn't happen again? He's going to tell us. What is he doing to get out the vote? He's going to tell us. No matter where you live in this country, what happens in Wisconsin matters. If you want Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, I don't care, any Republican to stop the Biden agenda and take back the White House, this is why Wisconsin matters. Chairman, thanks for welcoming us back to Milwaukee. The last time I was here was actually the last time there was a primary debate.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Tell
me, what's changed?
I remember when they used to call Wisconsin flyover country, right?
Yeah.
And now in Wisconsin, 12 times in the last 24 years, Sean, we've had races decided in Wisconsin by less than 30,000 votes.
Right.
There's 6 million people in this state. 12 races, less than 30,000 votes. So we're a purple state.
So let's talk about 2 of those races. In 2016, Donald Trump won the state by about 11,000. What was it, like 0.3?
Really
in
close.
2020, in the books, it's a loss of about 21,000.
Right.
What was that difference? Why the 30,000 vote shift?
Well, that race was so close. In fact, there were several different times where the president was ahead, then he's a little behind, then he's a little ahead, then he's a little behind. So I think the concentration on Wisconsin, we had enormous resources from both campaigns pouring in to the state. So when you're down at 1/10% or 0.5% or whatever, who knows what drives it? But I will say this, we're in a competitive environment right now in Wisconsin, and I always say we're not one of 50 states anymore, we're one of 5. You know,
I have it at 8. I have it at 8, right? I think there, and give or take, there are 8 states that are about 93 electoral votes. You guys are 10 of them. There's no question about it. These 10 electoral votes will be up for grab. What are you doing as chairman to put those 10 electoral votes back in the Republican column?
Well, the first thing I do is I talk to folks all over the state. I travel the state a lot, as you know, and I say to people, look, if you're for Trump and you have been for Trump, put up the sign, fly the flag, but have a second choice.
Okay.
And to the other folks, I say, if you're for Nikki Haley or for Governor DeSantis or Tim Scott or Vivek Ramaswamy, great. Put up the sign, fly the flag, but don't say you'll never vote for Donald Trump.
Okay.
And I know that sounds like kind of a generic answer, but if we don't have unity in this state behind the candidate, we're not going to win no matter who it is.
Okay. So unity keeps it together. Am I wrong that changing demographics and such mean that we have to grow that, though? It's not just the unity. We got to figure out how we get some additional folks to come out, or is it just a base plus?
Right. The first thing I did, Sean, when I took over as chair, literally that day, is I said I was going to launch an early vote campaign.
Okay.
Now, only about 27% of Republicans nationally ordinarily look and say, yeah, we're willing to early vote.
Right.
What's interesting about that, Dems out early vote is about 2-1. Yet the return rate is about 90% for both parties.
So if you vote early, you vote.
If you're an early voter in Wisconsin, Sean, if I get you to request that ballot and you send it back in the 90th percentile, if I get enough people to do that, Joe Biden's gone.
So make the case right now, not just in Wisconsin, someone's watching this, who cares where, and says, I don't want to vote early. My ballot is going to get stolen. I think this is ridiculous. Why should I vote early? Give me the case.
So we can pair both things. I always say to folks, look, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do early voting and we can do ballot security. In Wisconsin, I'll give you an example. In Wisconsin in the year 2000, or 2020, we had about 1,000 poll workers statewide. 2 years later, we increased that by 500%, and we're going to increase that again to about 7,000 this year. We're going to be able to track every early ballot all the way. We're going to have more attorneys, not only on site, but across the state.
Okay.
We're going to do the list work it takes to do this right. So what I'm saying to folks across the state is, look, if you're an every-time voter, because you really got to tell people why they should do this. So if you're Sean, if you're a voter in Wisconsin and you vote pretty much with us all the time.
Well, I do in Virginia.
You do in Virginia. So let's say I'm in Virginia, and I know that's an issue there too. If you early vote in Virginia, and you're usually with us.
Yep.
What do I not have to do if I get Sean Spicer to early vote? I don't have to email you. I don't have to text you. I don't have to call you, knock on your door, do all of those different things and do them like 100 times over.
Right.
So if I can save the resources on you and go to the next voter who's maybe with us half the time, 60, 70% of the time, but they're either low propensity voters, they don't always vote, or, to your point, they're new voters. There are hundreds of thousands of people, Sean, in Wisconsin who are 2A, they're about gun rights, or maybe they're pro-life, or maybe they're conservative on money issues, but they never vote. That's hard for you and I to imagine, but there's hundreds of thousands of people in Wisconsin who are watching us right now who don't vote. If I go and get a percentage of those people to vote in Wisconsin, the Democrats are done. And I'll tell you what, Sean, they realized that the week after my convention in La Crosse, Wisconsin, the Democrats had their convention up in Green Bay. The state chair of the Democratic Party said to the press afterwards that they had always enjoyed an advantage in early vote because Democrats are more likely to do it, but that the Republicans had caught on, and they could not expect that. That tells me they're afraid of our people early voting. We do it, they're done.
Last election in early voting. When I hear about what happened in Wisconsin, people will say the Dems changed the rules. The Wisconsin Election Commission allowed people to vote in drop boxes in absentee, which was not permitted under Wisconsin law. True or not?
It was true, and that's why we went to court. In fact, we've been very, very active in court with the Republican National Committee. We've been super active in court. Remember, we got drop boxes. We went to the court and got drop boxes banned.
So here's what I don't understand. Let's just play this out for a second. In 2020, under Wisconsin law, were drop boxes legal or not?
I think they were considered legal by the Elections Commission.
Correct,
but they weren't being used.
But they weren't in accordance. I mean, the Election Commission did not do something that was in law. They made a decision that was not rooted in Wisconsin law, correct?
Right, and that's why we went after it.
Right.